webinar organized jointly with Foodvalley and Food Tech Hub Brazil. Really a privilege to be here. The thematic of this event is the protein revolution, opportunities in the Brazilian market, and we know the COVID crisis stimulated debate again regarding food security, which is in the top of the list, the debate. And as you know, Brazil is one of the largest agriculture countries in the world, with soya, corn, coffee, orange, and so on, but mainly with the meat protein. We have a very strong chain of meat protein. But the future is coming, and Brazil has enough arable area to develop plant-based protein as well. Our agriculture system is adopting very intensively the PLM, precision land management, in the lands. So Brazil, for sure, you play a major role in the future in the protein chain. So that is, we are today bringing very distinguished guests to talk about this. But after I finish, I will pass the word to Roger Van Rossel, a very good partner of mine. I'll tell a little bit more just when I finish here. Then I will pass the word to Flávio Garofalo, Director of Savor Flavors and Natural Ingredients, Givaudan. He will talk about the future of protein. And then we'll receive Klaas van Zuiden, project leader and lead scientist plant from Unilever. And after, a Brazilian company, one of the largest in protein in the world, Beatriz Benedetti, Senior Innovation Manager of BRF, Brazilian company. And then in this part, we'll stop for some questions. And then, as we always do in this webinar, we bring two ones that we cannot talk about, let's say, Holland anymore, is Netherlands now, that will bring, just a minute here, we'll bring Michael van der Meer, if I spell right. He's founder, CEO of Novish. And then Mark Laponder from Evolution Meat, co-founder and commercial director. And two Brazilian ones, Bruno Rosolend from Sotili. He will talk about fibers, Brazilian fibers. And Marcelo Doin, founder of No Moo, like a cattle, No Moo in this. And I just want to, before I pass to Roger, I want to say that when we start to think about Food Tech Hub Brazil, the first contact I made was with Tierna Ellenbrook. And I'm sure that to say, who is this guy from Brazil calling to do what here in Netherlands? So, but we were trying to say that Foodvalley was an inspiration for us. And then she was kind enough to fix it last year. And then we invite my good friend Roger Van Rossel to come to Brazil in June last year, where we made the first edition of International Food Tech Forum, because I always have the ambition to put Brazil in the worldwide map of food innovation. And thanks to Foodvalley and crew, that they helped me a lot to pursue this ambition. So saying that, I pass the virtual floor to Roger Van Rossel. That's yours, Roger. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paulo, for your kind words, your kind introduction. And indeed, you know, it sometimes feels as if we have known each other for really a long time, because we had so many discussions and interaction already on how to to link Brazil and the Netherlands, that in a sense are countries which are very different in terms of size and culture and all that, but on the other hand also have a lot of in common, I would say. Both of them are agricultural powerhouses. For both our countries, there are challenges if it comes to the ag-food system, for sure. So we can learn a lot from each other and also can help each other a lot. So I'm very happy that we have this webinar now. It's fantastic. So many people are participating. So good morning in Brazil and good afternoon here in Europe. What I will do now, and thanks indeed to my colleagues at Tjerna for sure, but also Lonneke, who both in the background are doing a lot of work right now. What I would like to do now in the coming 4 minutes, which are still left for me, is give a short introduction on Foodvalley. So challenge number 1 is to share my screen, which I hope is going to work. And otherwise, again, I have to check with, let me see. Yeah, I'm going to share it. Hop. There you go. Is it to see, jongens? Okay, there you go. So Foodvalley. So yeah, for those of me, and that's most of them who don't know me, so I work for an organization called Foodvalley. And Foodvalley basically is 2 things for us. It's an organization where we work based here in Wageningen. And the other meaning it has is the ecosystem as a whole. So for us here, you see a slide of all kinds of parties with whom we work on, let's say, the future of our food system. It's a mixture of smaller and bigger companies from different subsectors of the industry. Most of them are based in the Netherlands, but certainly not all of them are Dutch. There's also even companies which have no physical presence in the Netherlands, which are still, let's say, partner of us. And it's not only about food companies, but also other parties you need, like knowledge suppliers and also investors, banks, what have you. Well, there's many that over the 15, 16 years that we have been in existence that work with us. But there's a special group for us, and those are the members. Because in the end, the challenges we have are so huge. You can go in many directions. And if you have a relatively small team of about 20, 25 people, yeah, where do you work on? So we have said for the memberships or companies that are linked to us also via membership are crucial, since they set the agenda. So we meet them many times, and we very carefully listen to them in terms of the topics we're supposed to work on and the way we can add value. Now, last year was quite an exciting year here, since there was quite a large group of big, small companies, university, governments involved in realizing or writing down at least an ambition for 2030. Since the challenges are so huge, all of us, be it big companies or small ones or universities, know that we cannot do it on our own. So we have to find, let's say, a kind of common denominator on a number of topics. So we wrote a kind of vision for the coming 10 years. And we've written down long-term ambitions on the topics mentioned here, especially in red. So it is about realizing a protein shift. It is about circular agriculture. And of course, it's about food and health. And for that, we need smart and digital technology. So it's 3 spearheads for the coming years, on which we work in all kinds of combinations with many different parties. What we do is varies a lot. It's from basic matchmaking kind of stuff to really build consortia in which many parties invest, and where we are in the lead or the initiator, or sometimes we manage the products. But we also talk about facility sharing, and certainly also about making international connections, since the topics we work on are not specifically only for the Netherlands, they're really worldwide. So the first one is also the topic of the webinar today on a protein shift. And also in this case, what we do there is very much determined by members. So you have about 200 members now of Foodvalley in general. But on top of that, there is 56, was the latest number I just heard, of companies who have specific interests in realizing their dreams if it comes to the protein shift. And again, you see it's a combination of big and small companies in here. And again, here also they set the agenda of what we do. Now, here are some examples of what we do. It is about a meeting, but more than that. But meeting each other is a crucial one, in the physical sense, or now maybe more in a digital way. But last year, for instance, we had an annual summit called the Protein Planet, and we had 450 people only discussing challenges in this sector. There's acceleration sessions where in specific companies, we work with other companies on challenges they have, a lot of one-on-one advisory. The international protein network is crucial. So also the link with you guys in Brazil is important, very much so, also for partners here. We just started 2 feasibility studies with their companies. One is on speed breeding, so finding, let's say, more suitable raw materials here than we have right now. And it's also on technology. And what we mean by technology is that we're looking with a couple of companies into using existing equipment also for producing plant-based products. And another element also mentioned here is that we, for individual companies, make these innovation scans on what is of relevance happening outside your own company in the Netherlands or in other countries. And you see down here in the slide, you see 4 blocks. And for instance, the second one is on a scan we did with New Zealand. So we had a colleague over from New Zealand for quite a longer time. And we looked at what is happening in New Zealand if it comes to a protein shift. And in the Netherlands, where is it comparable? Where is it different? And where can you learn from each other? And we have seen that that's resulted in a number of concrete collaborations already. Another example is that market insights are crucial. The market is changing really rapidly here in Europe, probably also in Brazil, in terms of what do you have on the shelves, and how do consumers respond to the different products available right now, and what would they like to have. So we also conduct these kind of market research items for the members. And another very basic but very relevant one as well, certainly for smaller companies, is that we try to make clear the kind of facilities which are available in the Netherlands and also a bit around the Netherlands. It's a tiny country, as you know, which can also be shared. So especially for smaller companies that would like to scale up their production or do some testing and who don't have that facility available, we see that, in other companies, bigger companies or knowledge institutes, there's often capacity available, some idle capacity where you can make use of. So what you see here is a kind of simple map of facilities available. So if you would click on that, you see what kind of facilities are available for companies and under what conditions. So that is just in a very rapid, at a very rapid speed, I know, but I only have 5 minutes, a kind of bird's eye view of what we do in the protein world as Foodvalley. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for this short introduction. Paulo, the floor is yours again.
Okay, Roger, many thanks, very clear. And now I pass on the word to Flavio. Please, Flavio, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon for people in Europe, and bom dia para gente Brasil. Trying to share my screen. Today, what I would like to do is talk a little bit about the future of protein. And probably the very first question that you can ask yourself is, will we have enough protein in the future? And I put the date of 2050, mostly because I found a very useful report from FAO that talked about what's going to happen in 2050. And to talk about 2050, we first need to talk about what is happening today. So in 2015, so a few years ago, the global production of crop protein was 525 million tons. This is pure protein, and it was mostly 4 crops: soy, wheat, rice, and corn. And how was this protein used? Well, 15% was not. It never made it into the food chain. About 25% went straight for people, and a full 60% went to feed animals, out of which only a quarter of that ended up feeding people, and the rest essentially fed the animals. So what lies ahead? Well, the projections for 2050 are that essentially the protein demand will increase by 70%, and for 2 reasons. On one side, you will have an increasing population to about 9 billion, but also there will be a huge increase in wealth, especially in the developing markets. And that means a higher consumption of protein per capita. Now, that report also looked at what would be the supply, and essentially there was an expected increase of 60% of supply, mostly driven by yield increases. So better seeds, better conditions to grow the products. and about 4% increase in land. But that report also said, hey, there are some things that are out of our control. We do not know what's going to happen with climate. And clearly that could be going one way or the other from a perspective that maybe lands like Greenland would be able to produce a lot of crops, but certainly other countries may not. The second one was about water. 30% of the current crops depend on irrigation. And as we can see in the last 20 years, there's been a progressive desertification of the world. And therefore, that could have a negative impact in the production of protein in the future. The report didn't mention biofuel competition. And essentially here, we saw in 2008, when the price of petroleum peaked, we also saw an increase in, tremendous increase in ethanol and biodiesel production. And this was at the expense of corn and other crops. So clearly this could be something that will happen in the future again, if petroleum keeps on increasing in price, not these days, but maybe in the future. And finally, the next one was about pandemics. We're living through one of them. In fact, in here, the pandemics is not only about people, but also pandemics for animals. If suddenly you have a pandemic for animals like bird flu, then you have a large number of animals which are cold, and that also has an effect on supply. Now, regardless of whether these four scenarios or many others that you could think of happen, at least for the moment, we know there's going to be a 10% gap between what will be produced and what will be needed. And how could we fill the gap with what we know? And then we can extrapolate from that. So on one side, maybe we can be more efficient about using the food that we make and actually not throw so much away. So maybe 1% can be won in there. But in the end, if we don't address the animal part, essentially the inefficiency that there is in that system, then we will not be able to reach that 10% gap. And as you can see here, a 1% reduction in animal consumption can give you 4% increase in plant protein directly to you. If the gap becomes 20 or 30%, essentially you will have to continue reducing the amount of animal. So conclusion is, we will eat more plant proteins, that's for sure. Now the question is, will we have the same pleasure? And of course, this is an area where Givaudan is particularly interested in. Now I'm going to take a case study of meat substitutes, but this could be applicable for others. And essentially, if we look at meat substitutes today, they represent 1 to 2%, maybe even less, of the meat market. And essentially, if that pie is to grow, and by the way, maybe the pie itself will grow, but the piece of the pie for meat substitutes should be a larger one in the future. But the key barriers for consumptions will be cost, taste, texture, and visual appearance. So the approach that we take within our company is to really look at the whole thing, the whole consumer experience. So it's not just about taste, we know that is important, but it's also about nutrition, it's about the base itself, so which proteins are you going to use, how are you going to texturize them, and the technology that you need to do so. So let's examine each of these ones one by one. So if we take the burger as an example again, and we say, okay, what are the components that are important from a consumer perspective? First one is about the texture. Will we have the right texture? So what you need to do that, you need to have good functional ingredients. So it's called plant proteins, texturizers, preservatives, fat, and water. That's all going into your base. And then you have the technologies for texturizing with a dry or wet TVP. Going a little bit more in detail, if we look at the proteins, soy and wheat has traditionally been used in meat substitutes to essentially provide the base. But of course, increasingly we see pea coming in because it's hypoallergenic and it has no GMO issue yet. But we also looked at different proteins in a study with Berkeley University, and we saw things like oats, chickpea, mung beans, lentils, flax, sunflower seeds that actually are up and coming, or at least have the potential to become proteins for the future. And in fact, there is a seventh one that recently has been added, which is quinoa, which particularly has improvements now that can be grown in different parts of the world. So when we look at proteins, what are we looking at? Well, on one side is the color that we'll have on the base. Definitely the bases need to have the right colors to reflect meat. Also, what is the flavor that they have and what maskers you need to improve them. And how can you texturize them? What texture can you get out of it? And what nutrition they provide. And in many of these cases, you might have to mix different ones to have the right nutrition. I talked a little bit about the technology on texturization. Extrusion is the key technology today, although there are others being investigated. Wet extrusion is mostly used to try to mimic real muscle because it provides a structure that looks very fibrous, so very similar to chicken, maybe sometimes beef. While dry extrusion is more keen snacks, so it has a spongy kind of extrusion, texture that actually fits quite well with burgers, with nuggets, and those kind of products, maybe dumplings and empanadas for Brazil. So we go to the second aspect of it, which is the color. Color actually can be achieved by using actually natural colors. So you have beetroot, for instance, that can provide you a nice red, and you have malt, for instance, that can give you a nice brown. Both of those very nicely declared in the packages. And of course, you can make mixtures of them. And what you can see here is how the color changes from raw, when you have the product that is not cooked yet, to pan-fried, which is what typically a consumer would do if a product is bought in the aisle with all the meat, or if it's steamed and frozen, which is typically sold in the frozen aisle. And then you can see that you can actually achieve some color changes that mimic a bit what happens in meat. More innovation in this area clearly is needed. The next part is about the taste. Can it taste good? And for this, the very first part we have to do is look at what happens with the protein itself. What are the volatiles, so things that affect your nose, and non-volatiles, things that affect more your mouth. What are those coming from proteins, and how can we address them with maskers and validating these in applications? The next part is about succulence. You want to have a product that really feels succulent in your mouth. And part of that is the umami blocks and juicy blocks that you can generate to create this, but really it's all about understanding the gap there is between a plant protein and an animal protein at the molecular level, and then understanding what are the components that you need to add to bridge that gap. Consumers will want to have the product tasting based on the cooking techniques that they choose. So if you want to fry it, or you want to roast it, or you want to... Okay, I lost my screen. I'm sorry, but I lost my screen.
Flavio, you try. Yeah, now I can see you again. Try again, Flavio, please.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just taking a second. Okay, hopefully it's okay. So whether it's fried, roasted, boiled, or grilled, essentially you require flavors that will have the precursors necessary for when you cook, do you deliver the right flavors. Finally, can you make the product juicy? And this is a tricky one because today products in the market use mostly liquid oils to provide fattiness. And what happens is when you put them in a pan, they warm up and they go into the pan, and not much is left into the product, which may be healthy, but not tasty. If you look at what happened in animal fat, the fat actually is enclosed in cells. And these cells would hold the fat until temperatures of about 55, 60 degrees, and then they start bursting. And if you keep on increasing the temperature, which happens when you overcook the meat, then eventually they all burst and the product becomes very dry. So one of the techniques that you can use is encapsulating the fat or the oil. And by doing so, you can actually reduce the amount of fat that you need to put into the product while maintaining the fattiness. and this gives you an advantage of lower fat and less calories. And at the same time, you can use this encapsulated fat to put in your flavor, and this allows to have a longer flavor stability, reducing the impact of or the interaction between the flavor and the protein, and also reducing the smell that the product will have. If you buy some of these products in the market, sometimes they have a strong smell that needs to be put in to actually withstand the process of cooking. With this kind of approach, I think we can really create very nice products that actually provide consumer acceptance and excitement. But one of the key things that are needed to really make the step change is also make it very clear to consumers why are they doing it. And in the end, it's this equation that really does it for me. To grow, let's say, 100 grams of beef, you need 2,000 liters of water, you need 3.5 kilos of wheat, and about, you can drive 25 kilometers in your car and you will generate the same greenhouse gases. And this equation says it all. This is not sustainable and we need to change it. So Givaudan can help you recreate the enjoyment and nutrition of real meat while saving the environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Flavio. Very nice to see all the developments that can be made. And I will pass directly to Klaas Jan Zuiden from Unilever. So Klaas, tell us about what you are doing at Unilever in the plant-based. Thank you.
Yes, I will share my screen. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I hope you can all see my presentation in full screen. Is that correct?
Very nice. You can see.
Okay, good. I'll start. So many thanks for giving me the opportunity to present some of the work we are doing at Unilever. This is from Unilever in the Netherlands, but of course we are also present in Brazil. We have an R&D center close to Campinas in Valinhos, as some of you may know, and we do there a lot of R&D for especially Latin America. And our global food center is located in Wageningen. And as Roger already explained, Wageningen is probably in the center of the Foodvalley. I sometimes wondering how big the Foodvalley is. There seems to be no limit, but some people say, well, there's a valley around Wageningen, and some people call it the Silicon Valley of foods. And now we name it the Foodvalley, but I think it's clear that Wageningen is seen as a kind of center, and Unilever thought, okay, if we want to build a new center, let's build it in Wageningen. So we are located here at the campus, and we opened only the building half a year ago. I'm trying to minimize, yes, this part, else you see all the screens. And you see here a picture of the building. I will show you more pictures. It's a nice building, and it was a $100 million investment, or 85 million euros. Just opened last December by the King of the Netherlands, and really at the campus site, university campus site. We all know that the university is #1 in the world if you look to food and agriculture research. And we want to collaborate with a lot of companies also involved in the Foodvalley, as you see here in the middle. We are business. We want to earn money at the end, but we also believe that it's important to address the challenges in the world. And there are major systematic challenges. We all know about people who are either get too much food, and it's quite a shame that there are still a lot of people, amazing number, who are hungry. Around 900 million people. That's quite a lot. And so, and since a few years, it seems that more people are dying because they eat too much food than because they are hungry, which is actually a shame. We also have the climate change challenge, and also we know that a lot of food is wasted. So we try to address these challenges as well. Coming back to the building that we just opened, here you see a few pictures of how it looks like. It's a very transparent building, trying to indicate that we want to do a lot of open innovation, that we want to work with others. And also the building is very sustainable, and even got a certificate as being probably one of the most, if not the most sustainable R&D building in the world at the moment. So it contains 1,500 solar panels. We make a lot of...
And you could see that I was almost alone there, so I was keeping the social distancing. So this is the most important, you see.
Yeah.
But team, I'm actually multitasking because class is giving a presentation on the...
I can hear you now. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, shall I continue? Yeah.
Please.
Sorry. I will write down.
Yeah. So you see a lot of transparent buildings, and we call it the hive. And the hive is taken from the bees. The beehive, that is here a structure that is in which a colony of bees are living. And like bees, we want to work together and do some things. Yeah. And here you see some of our bees during one of the opening ceremonies. What you see, this is very much pre-corona. So we need some social distancing at the moment, which is a bit of a shame because the whole building is designed to interact with each other. But hopefully the corona period will be soon behind us. One of the central parts is the stairs. We are forced to take the stairs and not to take the elevators anymore. That is good for your health, we believe. A lot of meeting areas. So we have labs, we have a lot of kitchens in which we can make foods. We have a big pilot plant in which we can make food grade products. A lot of meeting rooms and pitch podia. Coming back to the products, because we are here to talk about plant proteins, we have quite a few products made with plant proteins. Some of them are with mayonnaise, Hellmann's, US and Europe, Fabernes in the US, made with aquafaba. We have Meaterra from Brazil as an organic plant-based mayonnaise. Recently, we moved into the area of meat alternatives. We bought the Vegetarian Butcher 1.5 years ago, which is a Dutch-based, relatively small company, but we are working on the rollout. I will talk a little bit more on the next slide. We have, of course, our Knorr brand also in Brazil, looking into vegan meatballs. And recently, this year, we also launched together with Burger King a vegan Rebel Whopper in the Burger King in Europe. We also have ice cream business. My team was involved in the technology behind non-dairy Ben & Jerry's, vegan Magnum and Cornetto. They are launched in the US and Europe especially, but the rest of the world will also follow. What you see here is that, especially if you look to the mayonnaise and to the ice cream, the plant proteins need to solubilize fat and oil. That's important. So there we look to the emulsification capabilities. If you look to meat alternatives, there are other requirements. Emulsification is less of a problem, but we would like to have a good texture that the vegan product tastes like meat, gives the same sensory properties. And of course, we are using also some flavors like the ones from Givaudan for that as well. And so there are different requirements. What we also need is some sustainability calculation to also show to consumers that these products are indeed more sustainable than animal-derived products. Ones that are made with milk, for instance, or the ones that are made with meat. To talk a little bit more about the vegetarian butcher, what we really want to do for the vegetarian butcher is actually this whole brand is focusing on meat lovers, not on vegans. We are not, of course, vegans are welcome to try our products, but the majority of the people, we believe, are ones that say, hey, actually, I like meat and I'm okay to try a vegan alternative as long as it's good enough. And that's what we are trying to achieve, to make these kind of high quality products for this type of consumers. And this is what I want to say, and I hope to see you soon in Wageningen at the Hive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Klaas. Very nice to see. I hope when we can travel, we can visit you. Very nice building, very nice approach to the environment and so on. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
And now I pass the word to Beatriz Benedetti, Senior Innovation Manager from BRF. Please, Beatriz, take the floor.
Okay. Can you see my screen already?
Yes.
In full screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for those who are in Netherlands. So my name is Beatriz. I work here at BRF for the innovation team, and I'm very pleased to talk to you today. What I want to do here is pass through a quick brief on BRF, and then I'm gonna tell to you a little bit about our challenges, not just for products, meat products or plant-based products, but also I'm gonna tell you about a little bit about all the challenges we have from farm to table, okay? So BRF is a Brazilian company with a global presence in more than 130 countries in the world. In 2019, we celebrated our 85th anniversary. And we have 34 plants in Brazil and 5 more plants globally. And we have 45 distribution centers all over the world. So we are the global leader in chicken protein exports with 12% share of all the global trade. We also have huge brands here in Brazil. We have the 3 iconic brands for a variety of categories. And we have the 3 most preferred brands in Brazil, Sadia, Perdigão, and Quali. Our brands are present in almost 90% of homes. Well, what we believe in BRF, we believe that high quality food is essential for a better life for all people. So not only what we do, but the way we do is guided by our purpose, which is making life better for everyone from farm to table, as I mentioned before. So innovation is one of our main corporate values nowadays. BRF invests strongly in technologies to respond to global trends on food consumption, and we've been strengthening an innovation and agile culture as well. In 2019, we decided to give a renewed focus on innovation. So we expanded beyond our core way to do business. It was when we launched BRF Hub. So what is BRF Hub? BRF Hub is our open innovation platform to connect BRF to startups, scale-ups, and the academy. BRF Hub was launched to attract new technologies, stimulating partnerships, and to create intelligence and agility to generate new business for BRF. The main objective here is to solve our company's strategic challenges we have. So this year, in 2020, we launched a program with 12 challenges to continue to accelerate the innovation. So these challenges come since it goes through all the journey, since the animal creation on the farm until it gets to the table to the consumer. So for example, one of the challenges is on animal creation process. We're trying to bring new technology for prediction and evaluation on animal wealth. Another one, for example, is about logistics. We want to improve and bring more intelligence for delivery routes. Also, one of our main challenges here at BRF and all the industry, food industry nowadays, is put more technology to reduce waste. How does the program work? So the program has 7 phases. It starts when we select the main challenges inside here, the company, and we launch them to the ecosystem. Then it goes through application screening, pitch boot camps, until we select the best one to run a pilot and put the technology in press here, be inside BRF reality. Now at this program here, 2020, we are currently in, we received more than 150 applications for these 12 challenges I mentioned. And at this moment, we are selecting the ones that will be moving forward. And we hopefully, at the end of the program, at the end of this year, we intend to integrate at least one technology for each challenge. So, in addition to connect the innovation to the innovation ecosystem, BRF will continue to invest in technologies to respond rapidly to all consumer needs. So I'm gonna mention the main trends we have here in Brazil. So the first one is the need to products that are going to be increasingly convenient. So rapidly and easy to prepare, like red meals that can be heated in just 5 minutes, or also meat snacks that can be eaten on the go. Products with traceability and guarantee of origin. And on health and wellness, the main tendency trend we can be here, we observe is the preoccupation to have more vegetables in the meals. So we just launched Sadia Vegetal Sur brand, which is a portfolio with meatless options that are taste and practical. So it's not just about meat-like products. We want to give more options for the consumer, is what they want. So what we've learned with consumers is that they want is to changing the menu in a practical and delicious way. So we have nuggets and burgers that are meat-like, but we also have red meals and other options that are vegetable-like. So it tastes like vegetables. So the last main trend we observe here is that consumers want to have premium and exclusive experience for special occasions. So these are the main trends we're going to work for products here in Brazil. So I'm gonna leave my contact here. So any one of you who has any other questions, you can send me. I'll feel free to send me and I'll be pleased to answer you. Thank you for your attention. Paulo, I'm giving you back.
Okay, Beatriz, many thanks. I know very well all the nice work you do in BRF. And now we have the time, as previously said, for 2 questions. And I can see here, Flavio, that you were asked about encapsulation. Could you develop a little bit more about this encapsulation with fat, please?
Yes. So essentially what we try to do in this case is to mimic very much what happens in animal fat, which is create some kind of a membrane or a matrix that holds the oil in place, and that would melt at the similar rate as you will see melting for the breaking of the animal cells. So somewhere around 55 degrees, it starts releasing, and it will continue releasing to 70 degrees. What we think actually is still there is something, but maybe it releases even later, so it gives a bit more room for those people who overcook their meat.
Okay, thank you very much. And Klaas, if you tell us what is the in the Hive, what is the strategy for Unilever Latin America in comparison what you develop in Wageningen, please? If you could explore a little bit more how you see the Latin America environment for development.
Yeah, so what we do in Wageningen, we are doing R&D for, let's say, a more global scale. So we define there, let's say, the big formulation rules. People in Brazil are the ones that really fine-tune what they need in Brazil or in other Latin American countries. That's a bit the difference. So we do more, let's say, we work more longer term as well, and it's shorter term in Valinhos for us.
Okay, thank you very much, Klaas. Thank you very much. Now we go for the second part of the webinar, which is the startups, and then I start with Michael from Novish. Please, Michael.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'll try to share the screen with you. Let's have a look. Share, it works. Okay, can everybody read it? There we are. Okay, well, hello again. Name is Michael Vennemeer. Used to work for Unilever for a long time. Last 5 years with Flavio, so nice to see him back. And that is after I left Unilever, I ended up in a few years bakery, but mainly in fish for a company called Marine Harvest, selling a lot of fish around the world. And I've done that for many years until I did an interim job for a big meat cooperative, Vion Food Group in Holland. And as their CCO, I was responsible for their meat alternative program. And that actually made me realize the challenges Flavio also talked about and how huge they are and what we should do about it. And at the end, I managed to convince everybody that we had to close down the beef slaughterhouse and bring in equipment to build our own meat alternative range. So I was quite proud of that, but in a slaughtering environment, that was also quite challenging. So I thought, let's do that now on my own. And together with a technology friend of mine, I decided to launch No Fish last October. And it was actually, the reason was very simple. I thought there's so much fish being eaten around the world, and why is nobody thinking about fish alternative if meat alternative is so popular? The obvious name I wanted to choose was Beyond Fish, which would help to attract investors, but then again, a little bit worried about US litigation, so I decided to go for No Fish instead. And since then, I've seen the last 5-6 months, everybody jumping on this. I'm not arrogant that I think it's because we started it, but obviously we were not the only one who had this idea, and a lot of other people are now jumping in this area, which is fine because it will just help to grow the business. In 10 years in the fishing industry, I've learned that there's a lot of things wrong in fishing, whether it's farmed fish or wild catch. And I actually know in depth the things which are happening. And the most striking for me is always the fact that you need so much wild fish to be caught and slaughtered, and that fish oil goes into the feed of salmon oil, that you wonder, like, where is this sort of, from a sustainability perspective? It's a bit like biodiesel sponsored so that you can burn down the jungle in Indonesia, and it doesn't feel right. So obviously, together with the help of the likes of Givaudan and others, we have developed a business concept. I, together with Paul and Katja, who happens to be my wife as well, both two of the leading food technologists in the Netherlands, and they've managed to make some really tasty products. We then were ready in early March to hit the market. First order from Canada out of places, 6 pallets shipped into Canada. And then we had everything ready to enter the global food service market. And then some stupid pandemic happened. And we had to repack all our stocks into retail packaging, which we had ignored at the start. We preferred to enter the food service market first. So we then launched the basic range, sticks, bites, and burgers. Bites are like nuggets, in both chilled and in frozen. We developed even battered fish chunks for the Dutch people on the audience kibbeling, a very tasty product. And last week we launched the veggie tuna, like the Good Catch or some of the other providers. And I would say the tuna I'm probably most proud because it is extremely tasty, well structured tuna, which can go into many applications. So very happy with the product. I think the big thing different with meat alternatives is what you see, meat alternatives always are sold in the veggie counter in the retail. And what I've seen talking to many retailers around the world about our products, that they see them at 3 places, which is even much more exciting. They can obviously go into the veggie counter alongside vegetarian butcher and garden gourmet, but they can also be positioned in the chilled seafood counter, particularly when we will launch our smoked salmon later this year. I have a lot of hopes for that. And then, of course, in the frozen counter next to Captain Iglo, it's an obvious place to go for kids and millennials who want to do the right thing and leave the pollock or cod swimming in the sea. So we actually have a lot of opportunities in retail, and also in food service. We have from QSR restaurants, ship the bins from the likes of IKEA. Many family-oriented restaurants, catering organizations are looking for more plant-based and sustainable solutions. So we get a lot of positive feedback, and we're very excited about that. We have actually chosen a commercial distributor model. So our own team does Benelux and a little bit of Germany. And in every other country, I've trained up distributors with our strategy, with our concept, and made agreement how they would launch the products locally. And that works really well. We got a lot of positive feedback from our area, both Spain and Portugal. And that obviously tempted me to consider, should we do something in Latin America as well? And any in the audience, if you have any ideas whether this would be a good idea for Latin America, please let me know how and why. The good thing with this distributor model is that it gives focus. We work exclusive. We have local marketing through the distributor, but along global guidelines. Best practice, and we cover all market segments. We ship out everything frozen, and it can be defrosted and sold chilled with 25 days on the shelf. The market presently is really small, estimated at 25 million, but it is growing triple-digit growth numbers at the moment, and we are very happy with that. We have a modest sales planning. We hope to reach 6 million a year after next year, and these companies can easily sell at 2-3 times top-line sales, but more likely 4 or 5 times what we've seen if you look at M&A transactions over the last few years. And already now we are attracted attention by the big seafood players like the Nomads and the Thai Unions of this world. So very excited about it and very proud of what we have achieved in the last 5 months. That's it, Paolo. Over to you.
Yeah, okay, Michael, thank you very much. Well, it was a pity that we couldn't make our International Food Tech Forum that you and I agreed that you should come.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, therefore, I of course, count on Food Tech Hub to help you find a distributor and so on. We are here to help. Okay, next is, thank you very much. Mark, now is your time to show Evolution Meat, please.
Thank you, Fabio. I will share my screen as well. So can everybody see this also?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Mark Lapon. I'm one of the founders of Evolutions. In 2017, we have developed our Evolution Kebab. In 2018, we have started our company. Our mission is to make products from plants, not meat, that have the flavor, tasting like the real thing, all inspired by the traditions of grilling meat around the world. Our values are: products should be tasty. If the flavor is wrong, we do not launch the product. We always say, no meat, all taste. For flexitarians, in Holland, 66% alternates their meat consumption. This is a target consumer group for us. The heat without the meat. Convenient. Products should be super simple to prepare for restaurant chefs. All products are pre-marinated, heat up and serve. Authentic. We have our own chef who's helping us to develop the original flavor profiles. Indulgent. We believe in a 100% food service solution. On exhibitions, we always serve our products with the right vegan bread and sauce. Confident. We know where our raw materials are coming from. We work with European soy, gluten, rice, and fava beans. The end product is more important than the sort of raw materials. We have 3 grilling product families: Evolution Kebab, Evolution Satay, and Evolution Sausages. Our cones and sliced kebab are made from extruded soy. We have 3 flavor profiles: Turkish kebab, gyros, and shawarma. Our satay is made from soy and gluten. The traditional flavor profiles are Indonesian, often served with peanut sauce, yakitori, and also Thai. Sausages are made from rice and fava beans. We have 4 sausages: hot dogs, Frankfurt, German bratwurst, and breakfast hotel sausages. Our products can be applied in the following food service solutions: kebab, between a pita sandwich or in a wrap. Satay, chefs can put it on a stick or put it between a sandwich or wok it in a pan with some rice. Sausages with French fries or as a hot dog between a sandwich. How this works out in practice shows the following video. So for the North and the South American market, we have the plan to develop a trompo al pastor. Maybe this is something interesting for our Brazilian friends. If you would like to come in contact with me, here are my contact details. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much. Now it's time for the 2 Brazilian startups. I start with Sutili. I invite Bruno to tell about what he's doing in the Brazilian market. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Good morning to us in Brazil and good afternoon to Europe. I want to say thank you to our godfather, Paulo, for inviting us to this webinar. Paulo is a great partner. And our company is a plant-based company. We are you guys can hear me?
Yes, I
sorry.
can hear you. Yeah.
The challenge of our company is how to make a sustainable food. And by that, went to Embrapa and other universities to develop projects together. They use waste of Jewish industry And the challenge was to create food that has flavor, texture, and able to sell. So in the beginning, it was hard because we received the fiber raw, the cashew fiber. That's our major product. And so much. You guys can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, my internet
I
is.
am not seeing any. I'm not sure if you're sharing a presentation.
Yeah, I will. That's, you guys can see my screen?
Great, Bruno.
So that's us, Sotiri plant-based food. The challenge was to create a food that has flavor, texture, and able to sell. So in the beginning, it was hard because we received the fiber raw, the cashew fiber raw. And now we treat the fiber. And it comes like a powder. So it's easier to work. And we are the first company in South America to create seafood by using plant-based. We create a crab cake and a codfish cake. And our pipeline goes from meat analogs to fish analogs. And right now we have 9 products with Embrapa and other universities in Brazil that use all ingredients from here. In our products, we taste a little bit of bioma, a Brazilian biome, such as Amazon biome, and northeast and south of Brazil. And our philosophy is based on circular economy, because we use the waste of juice company, the waste of juice companies. And in 2020, we launched our latest project that works with Embrapa and Indians cooperatives and the Ribeirinhos cooperatives too. Develop the other part of Brazil. So we believe that our product is unique here in South America because we are creating sustainable food and sponsoring universities around the country. The next step of Sotiri is working with high mustard meat analogs, because it's one of our products are developing our protein. To finish our presentation, we have created a subdivision that other companies will be able to buy all those ingredients from us. In Brazil, we are selling around the supermarkets already and food service too. And that's us. If you guys have any question, you can send me an email or call me, whatever easier.
Okay, Bruno, thank you very much. That is one of the good food techs in Brazil, working closely with Embrapa, which is very reliable food institute. So now I invite Marcelo to jump in the virtual floor for the last presentation. Please, Marcelo.
Hello, good morning to Brazil. Good afternoon to Netherlands. I'm gonna share my screen here. Can you guys see it?
Not yet. Just I think it's open, Marcelo.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not very good with IT. Well, this is us. That's No Move plant-based. We started in Brazil in 2016 when I came back to Brazil. from New York, where I graduated culinary arts. It was a big turnaround because I've been a lawyer for 15 years, a contract draft lawyer, international law, and always passionate for food. So 2015, I decided to come back to America.
Marcelo, please, we cannot see your presentation. It's not open yet.
Oh, you do not? Hold on.
No, sorry.
It says.
You have to open the file.
It is open here to me. I'm sorry.
Shall I also try to share it?
You may have two screens. You may have two screens, and you're projecting the not the right one, probably.
Oh.
Tierna, maybe Tierna can place. She has the.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tierna. Okay.
Just say whenever I will.
Yeah.
Slide.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So basically, on 2016, I came back to Brazil after graduating in culinary arts. In the States, I worked for a couple of Michelin star chefs. I learned a lot about cooking as well, but also I got specialized in molecular gastronomy. And that's where everything started, because I wanted to develop a plant-based milk that would be able to mimic exactly what regular cow or whatever animal milk does. So we developed a molecular milk with a kind of same molecular weight of regular milk. This is the very beginning when we came back to Brazil, our old logo, that was 2016, and that's where we are now. So on our first year, we tried to be just a state cheese, just in Rio de Janeiro. It was, we couldn't think about going interstate. Brazil is a huge country. And the thing is that in 2016, on December, 3 months after our launch, we were in São Paulo. 6 months later, we were all over the country. On 2017, we became an Endeavor company, which is a huge NGO organization that helps to scale up some startups. So we've been boosted by huge companies like Nestle, and it was a very, very good program. Then we launched our yogurt line. It's the first and only vegan yogurt in Brazil without starch in the formula. Because since we have all the control of how to do plant-based milk, exactly like real milk, we do not need to use starch or anything to stain our product and made it like with loads of calories or unnecessary things. We try to keep as much as real as possible. After that, we launched our, in Brazil it calls requeijão, which is a spread. It's a very common cheese in Brazil, and people love it. It's in the breakfast, it's more like a cream cheese, but it's a the texture is a lot easier to spread, not exactly like cream cheese. So we use we use cashew milk to make all this. So, but we have also an enzymatic process to make all the real bacteria that usually ferment real cheese, real milk. We are able to use the exactly same bacteria in that process. So that being said, we can basically do anything you imagine when we come to the dairy field. This is another first we did. It's an aquafaba mayo that we did in Brazil. It's the first aquafaba mayo in the country. It's the water from cooked chickpea, in case anyone doesn't know it. Yeah, the texture, it's very close to real mayo. We selling all over the country in food service, very strong. So yeah, it was another first. After that, the mayo Um, that's the butter. We launched the first cultured butter in Brazil. That's a technique similar to the way they do butter in Europe with raw milk. And since we have the knowledge of doing plant-based milk like real milk, we could do the techniques to do a cultured butter. And that's very, very impressive. People love it. It is another first. This is a little bit of our most important clients. In the retail, we got 6 huge supermarkets. On the food service, many pizzerias, many important brands in Brazil. And recently, we've closed a deal with Seara, which is JBS Group, Tyson in the US. Very strong partnership. We so far developed a kind of a meatloaf with their vegan meat and our cheese. Well, this is yeah, and that's it. There's a lot more to do. This is one of the CEOs that I most admire in Brazil, José Galó. He's Henry CEO, and that's pretty much what he said. It just fits us. That there are well-known brands and brands that have purpose. So we seek purpose in the move. The first ones have no soul, and the effort to do business is enormous. It depends on a lot of investment with only reasonable results. And the ones with purpose enter the minds and hearts of consumers and create loyalty, which guarantees growth and result. So we built out of purpose. It was a very small company back in 2015, just my wife and I. Now we are all over the country. Some countries in South America, we already have no more there. And we plan to go worldwide. If it wasn't for this sad pandemic, I think we would be in many more countries in the end of the year. But now, maybe on 2021. So basically, that's it. Thank you for your time. You guys can find me in LinkedIn or Nomu on Instagram. It'll be a pleasure to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much. I can't hear. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh yeah, good.
Yes.
Now I hear you guys back. Thank you.
I'm not sure if Paulo is here anymore. Let's see.
Yeah.
So, Roger, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not seeing Paulo here anymore. I don't know if you can.
I'm afraid we're checking. I think he's not connected at the moment. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully it's almost a quarter to 4, quarter past 4, I have to say. But maybe there's still room for 1 or 2 questions, and if that's okay with you, there was one general question posed via chat, which is by Roel van Dam, and he says, what do you think? So it's not addressed to one in particular, but if you feel invited to respond, please do so. It says, what do you think about the everlasting fight against meat? Seems that all plant-based protein sources reflect the meat, via that meat still keeping the holy grail. In most cases, quite a bit of processing is needed to get the right result, read close to meat. When is plant-based good enough to create its own and maybe even more sustainable product group? So it's a question that, of course, relates to many initiatives we see all over the world. There's a bit in it like, do you really have to mimic meat? We saw some examples, like in the case of Unilever, that Unilever said, well, Klaas-Jan said, yeah, but we focus on meat lovers in this case. Others don't say, no, it needn't necessarily look as meat. So does any of the speakers would like to respond to this statement / question?
I would be happy to. One of the things that we have done at Givaudan, we have a program called Chef's Council that we run every 4 years. And in October, we run it with the challenge of protein challenge. And essentially in there, what we told these external chefs that we're working with our internal chefs is we want to have a product that fits the center of the plate, but that it doesn't try to mimic meat. But we do want to have the same satisfaction and the same nutrition. And essentially, this is really creating new dishes, which is kind of a different approach, but exactly what you, I'm not sure who was mentioning, I think it was Hans who was mentioning the question. So very interestingly, out of that came out some research. And one of the key areas that the chefs identified is to be able to recreate a product that is vegetable-based and that doesn't try to mimic meat, still have to have complexity in flavor, complexity in texture. Best example was if you take a carrot and you cook it, then you'll have the same texture across the whole carrot. But if you actually take the carrot and cut it in different pieces and cook it in different ways and then reassemble it, then you'll have different textures and flavors which give complexity and satisfaction.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you. Paulo, you're back. We lost you.
I'm back from the other notebook. I'm sorry for that. And but I think we are in the time to close as we have scheduled. And I would like to thank all of you for that very nice webinar, very interesting to hear all of you. And to say that Brazil has been developed food tax. To those that don't know yet, we have more than 500 food tax. We just have a taste of 2 of them today. But and also this week, the Minister of Agriculture in the opening of Council of Americas mentioned food tech. So it is part of our strategy to add value in the agribusiness in Brazil. So let's continue to work hard to develop that. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Paulo.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Tchau, tchau. Obrigada.
Right.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Leave meeting, eh?